Winterween. Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads. And this week has been Winterween, which is very, very exciting. I have been looking forward to this readathon for months. I got the merch, I got the jumper, which is just gorgeous, but also just so cozy. And I had plans, I had a short list. I had plans. I was planning to vlog every day of this readathon and then, you know, zhuzh it all together. And I forgot one key thing, one very, very key thing, which was that this vlog started just a couple of days after I went back to work after the holidays. And my work's really busy, really stressful. And I didn't vlog the first day, and then I didn't vlog the second day, and then I didn't vlog the third day, and then I thought, oh, I can't vlog, I'm too late. And I didn't want to, yeah, so anyway, this is not the video I was planning to give you today, but it's the video we have, and I have some really fun books to share. So let's check out what the prompts were for Winterween, which, oh, if you don't know what Winterween is, that's okay. It is a week-long readathon organised by the lovely Gabby Reads, and I will pop a link in the description to their channel. And it is just a really fun readathon that takes place in January over the space of 1 week. And there were fun reading prompts and I made my way through them. So prompt number 1 was to read a book in the dark. I feel like this is a total cheat because I live in the northeast of Scotland. I'm filming this in the early afternoon and I have to have a ring light on because it's dark. It is pretty much, it's very dark a lot of the time. I'm also terrible for either putting all the lights on or putting none of the lights on. There is no middle ground where I'm ambiently lit. So I'm going to say at some point during this week, I have read in the dark because that's something I would normally do. We're taking it, we're going with it. Prompt number 2 was a bookish prompt. This was to read a book with a witch on the cover. And I have gone with an ebook called Lifestyles of the Witch and the Ageless by Shea Macleod. I have read another book by this author before and I really enjoyed it, so I was very excited to pick this one up. This was not the book I had planned to read, but this was the book that I had enough time to read. So we're gonna go with that. This is a book about a 46-year-old lady who her life is not going the way that she hoped it would. It's her birthday and she finds herself fired from her job, dumped by her boyfriend, and she's being evicted. Everything's going just so badly wrong for her. And then she receives a mysterious letter. And it turns out that she has inherited this cozy seaside town bookshop, or a cozy bookshop in a seaside town, that's a better way to word it, from her grandmother. However, for her entire life, she was very much under the impression that her grandmother had died. So there's a little bit of a what's going on there element. And so she shows up to this cozy little town, which is very unusual in that it doesn't show on any maps and everybody who lives there is a little quirky and a little bit magical, shall we say. And our main character, Juniper, has been experiencing some sort of surges in like magic, which is really unusual for her because she does not have magical powers, or so she thinks. But this then leads into a gorgeous, cozy mystery. And I really liked it. I really liked the character of Juniper. I enjoyed getting to see her grow in confidence. She was introduced as this pushover, this wallflower that you could just, you know, talk over, and she learned to stand up for herself. and just take no nonsense, or at least take less nonsense. And I really love that for her. This is the first in a series, and I'm not going to say I won't go back and read the next book because I had a nice time, and this author just really writes gorgeous, cozy settings, and that's exactly what the heart wanted. The next prompt number 3, was to read a book with a snowy or a wintry setting. And what could be better than Winter by Ali Smith? This is the second book in the seasonal quartet, which I have been making my way through. I've been trying to read them in season, and I had a great time with this. I really enjoyed it. I tabbed precisely 1 time. I had planned to tab more, but here we are. I only tabbed 1 bit. But the bit I did tab, it spoke to me. Always stopping to speak to just any cat she'd seen in the street, in any street, here, there, in Greece on holiday, anywhere she sees a effing cat, getting down on her haunches and stretching her hand out like art's not there. Like the cat won't want to speak to him anyway, even if he is. Like the whole world has shifted to just her and some cat she doesn't even know, like she's the only person in the whole world with any animal magnetism. I felt seen. The crazy cat lady that will ignore people in favour of trying to pat a cat. I felt seen. I really liked this book, really enjoyed it. It takes place over Christmas and it surrounds Arthur, and he is going home to his mother, Sophia, to her house for Christmas. He's got a bit of a problem though, in that he is supposed to be bringing his girlfriend, Charlotte. But there is a slight issue in that he and Charlotte have broken up, and instead of him going, I'll just tell my mum, we've broken up, he decides to hire a stranger to pretend to be his girlfriend. So he hires Lux, and she shows up and pretends to be his girlfriend. This book was wonderful and like a wee bit whimsical. It is the second book in a series, but the series is more of a quartet in that every book kind of stands alone, and I think that there are some little nods to other books, but I feel like you could read this without having read any of the other books and you would still have a great time. It did take the same format as Autumn did, in that it switches between flashbacks that expand on the situation where we are, and then it comes back to current day. And I really like that kind of timey-wimey, jumpy moments. I kind of find it disorienting, but in the best kind of way. This book opened with introductions to our main cast of Art and Sophia, and neither of them were overly likeable. Sophia, very crotchety and opinionated and aggressive, but did remind me to book an appointment at the optometrist because she's having some eye problems. And then I thought, when did I last get my eyes checked? And then I realised it was 2020. I thought it was more recent, but turns out my more recent appointment had been cancelled and I did not reschedule it. So I've now booked an eye appointment. Fun fact. I really liked getting to know more about Sophia and her sister Iris. They were very opposite people, very opposing views, even from very young ages. Seeing how that changed and just developed as they got older and they just became more and more different. I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed their little reunion because of course the estranged sister comes back for Christmas. I also loved the relationship between Lux and Sophia, even though, I don't think Sophia cared if she was or wasn't her son's real girlfriend. She just kind of liked having a person who treated her like a human being, like she wasn't, this delicate little creature, like she was a capable woman, and I really liked that. I love that this book also had some references to protests that one of the characters had been at, and they were quite large, quite pivotal protests in the UK, and she had been there at some really key moments in history, just trying to make a difference. And this book also included some references to an artist perhaps not as known as they should be, which is something that was really similar to Autumn, which focused on, there were references to an artist that hadn't gotten the accolades that they could have. I thought this was a fantastic book, really just beautifully written. It's not long, like it's not a long book, it's only 310 pages or so, but it is a book that I am a fast reader. That's just how I read, is I read really quickly, and this book forces me to read slowly and savor it. And that's, I think, what I love so much about this series, is that I find myself reading them slowly and just enjoying them without reading them at my normal pace and like missing things, which I feel in this kind of book I maybe would. I probably have missed loads of things, but I really enjoyed this, and I'm so excited to read spring and summer, which I don't know if they're, yeah, you can see the bottom of them right there. I will read them in their seasons. Very excited. Prompt number 4 was to read a book with purple on the cover, and I probably could have just counted Lifestyles of the Witch and the Ageless as my book for this prompt. Also, whenever I think of that title, I start singing in my head Good Charlotte, because why would I not? Good song and little earworm. But I read another book for this. I read Mermaids Never Drown, Tales to Dive For, which is an anthology which has been compiled by Zoraida, Cordova. This is a collection of 14 short stories which are all surrounding mermaids. And I enjoyed every single story in this collection, which is so rare for me in short stories, in that I usually find that there's at least one that I'm a bit like, wish you weren't in this book. And I liked every single one, and I loved a good, I would say probably half of them. Every story was so different as well, which I think is just amazing when you give, I don't know what goes into anthologies, if they just sort of go, hey, write a story about this, and then people do, maybe that's what happens. But it was amazing that every story was so different. The variety was fantastic. There were stories that took place entirely underwater. There were stories with shapeshifters. There were stories with revenge. Love a good revenge story. There were stories with revolution, with family drama, with morality being questioned. I thought this was a fantastic collection of short stories. A lot of authors in this collection I'd never read from either, so I'm very excited. Also, there was a story in here by an author I had DNF'd, and I loved their story. So I might have to go back and revisit that author, because clearly I like their writing. I just didn't like the book I had read by them. That's something that's very interesting. But my favourite stories surrounded revenge or revolution. That was what I wanted, and what my heart wanted this week from my short stories. I had a fantastic time with this book. And the final prompt was to read a book with a W on the cover or in the title, and each and every one of my 3 books meet that criteria. I haven't read as much this week as I would have liked, but I have read a lot. So, I mean, I can't be angry about that. I can't be sad. This week hadn't gone exactly how I wanted it to go. But I think that my week of Winterween maybe ends up as a success. I ticked every prompt, and I read some fantastic books. I had a really good time with them, and I did as much as I could with my tiredness and just ennui and exhaustion of being back to work. So it's not the video I wanted to post, but it's the video I have the energy to post. So I think we're gonna go with that. If you've read any of these books or want to read any of these books, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!